shone from his light. Okay, so it's God's light that's coming through that medium, that's coming through the talit and radiating out to the world. Let's move on to the next piece of Midrash. This appears in various sources. Here I'm taking it from the Midrash on Leviticus, but it relates still to Genesis. Rabbi Yehuda, son of Rabbi Simon, said, with the light created by the Blessed Holy One on the first day, a person could gaze and see from one end of the world to the other. Okay, this was not ordinary light. This light provided total vision, cosmic vision. You could see the entire universe with this light. When the Holy One foresaw the corruption of the generation of Enosh and the generation of the flood, he immediately hid it away from them. As is written, the light of the wicked is withheld. Where did he hide it? In the Garden of Eden. As is said, light is sown for the righteous, joy for the upright in heart. Okay, so what's going on here? This light was spectacular. This light provided total knowledge, total awareness, cosmic vision. But God saw that wickedness would arise. He saw that there would be wicked generations. And Enosh is mentioned here, and the generation of the flood. Okay, according to the Torah, the generation of the flood was wicked in the time of Noah. And Enosh, according to the rabbis, that's when idolatry began in the world during his generation. So God saw that there would be wickedness, and therefore he hid the light away. God did not want this total knowledge, this total vision to be available to humanity because it would be misused. And a verse is quoted from Job indicating that the light of the wicked is withheld. They don't get this light because they would misuse it. And God hides it in the Garden of Eden, which apparently means this is a reward. If you lead a righteous life, then when you leave the world, you will inherit this light. It's sown for the righteous. It's hidden away for the righteous as a reward in the life to come. Let's look at one more piece of Midrash, and then I'll pause and see if there are any questions to this point. This next passage, number 4, is from the Talmud. It's a piece of Midrash in the Talmud. The Talmud is filled with Midrash, with this imaginative, creative, rabbinic style of reading the Bible. Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Rav, Adam extended from one end of the world to the other. Okay, Adam was not just, 5.5 feet tall, 6 feet tall. Adam filled the entire universe. Adam's body, Adam's being, maybe it means Adam's awareness, stretched from one end of the world to the other. And he quotes a verse from Deuteronomy to prove this, as it were. This verse in Deuteronomy is not really talking about creation. It's not talking about Adam. These verses in Deuteronomy are talking about Mount Sinai, actually. And the verses read, ever since God created a human, Adam, Adam can mean a human or it can be the name of Adam, as in Adam and Eve. But in Deuteronomy, it doesn't mean Adam, it means a human. Ever since God created a human on earth, from one end of heaven to the other, has anything as great as this ever happened? He's talking about Mount Sinai. This is Moses in the book of Deuteronomy. Has anything as spectacular as the revelation at Sinai ever happened? Has anything like it ever been heard? Has any people heard the voice of God speaking from the midst of the fire, as you yourself have heard and remained alive? Okay, so Moses is talking about Mount Sinai, but Rabbi Yehuda is quoting this verse totally out of context. He wants us to think that the verse is really talking about Adam, not any human, but about Adam. And what does this verse say about Adam? That God created Adam from one end of heaven to the other. Now the verse seems to be saying that Adam originally filled the universe. Okay, really, according to the simple sense of this verse, the phrase from one end of heaven to the other applies to what follows. Has anything as great as Mount Sinai ever happened? From one end of the world to the other, has there ever been anything as great as Mount Sinai? But Rabbi Yehuda just leaves out this whole continuation of the verse, all of these 3.5 lines, these 2.5 lines, Rabbi Yehuda puts the period here after other, and now the verse seems to be saying God created Adam on earth from one end of heaven to the other. So this very fanciful idea that Adam filled the cosmos, that's Rabbi Yehuda's point. But once Adam sinned by eating the fruit of the tree of knowledge, God placed his hand on him and made him smaller. Okay, Adam was scrunched down to his normal human puny size as a result of knowing the difference between good and evil. Perhaps this means that Adam and Eve began to make distinctions between this and that, between better and worse, between male and female, between self and other. Adam and Eve came to be aware of their own separateness, of their own ego. That was a result of their eating the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Consequently, they were scrunched down to human size. They no longer filled the cosmos. They lost their cosmic awareness, and now they were normal human beings. So the previous teaching said that Adam saw from one end of the world to the other, that a person could see from one end of the world to the other. Now it's that Adam extended from one end of the world to the other. I think this could be two different ways of saying there was a total awareness, there was some total knowledge that was available at the beginning of life, at the beginning of creation. But we have lost that awareness. Now we've been scrunched down to our normal puny size. In this sense, the light has been hidden. The awareness has been hidden. Okay, before we proceed to the Kabbalah, just pause and see if there are one or two questions we could take those now. Ari, if you want to call on anyone, if their hand is raised, and if not, I'll just proceed.
Yeah, generally, just to make sure we don't have cacophony. I don't. Just too many people to have people talk, but people can chat their questions. We can see the questions, and either you can see them or I can share them with you. So some of them, get kind of quite complicated. Some of them we probably can't get into right now.
Well, I see. Also, there are two raised hands. Do you want to call on one of the raised hands, or you'd rather read the chat?
Well, it's really up to you. There's a danger in doing that, so we can try it and see how it works.
Just for these two, okay. And then we'll see how it works.
Okay, we'll try with Ruth first. So Ruth, I'm asking you to unmute, but please keep these as questions.
Thank you, Rabbi. I was thinking when you were talking about being wrapped in a garment and kasalma, I was thinking of the shroud, and I was wondering whether that image could be applied to the way we wrap the dead in a white garment. Are we wrapping them in this eternal light of holiness?
Yeah, you could say that death is a return to some primary state, a reunion with the divine source. So that is an interesting parallel, wrapping and being enveloped once again in the light.
Thank you. Mark Schneider had a question.
Please.
Rabbi Matt, is God in this
in these teachings? What about God? I think we may have lost
we can't hear. So here are a few questions that may have come up. Why does God have to wrap God in himself? God's whatever first of all, why does God have to wrap God in a tallis and have the light go through it? Why do you need that talit, that vestment? Yeah. And how can God actually wrap God's self in anything? I guess those are two questions.
Why? I guess the question is, why doesn't God just radiate out the divine light? Why this medium? Why this filter? Perhaps because it's too much to handle. Direct contact with divine reality would be too much to bear. God feels the world couldn't handle that intense radiation. So it's filtered. We'll see another example of this a little bit later that really sets the stage well for a mystical teaching that we'll find very soon. As to the image of God, it sounds like such a human description of God. You have that somewhat in the Bible and in the Talmud. Maimonides reacts against that. He doesn't want to have any human descriptions of God. But the rabbis are not troubled by that. The rabbis imagine that God is somehow assuming human form. According to the Talmud, God even wears tefillin. So here God has a talit, although the talit may not mean a prayer shawl here. It may just mean a garment. According to the Talmud, God even has tefillin. Now you might wonder, what is in God's tefillin? In human tefillin, you have the Shema, right? You have the first two paragraphs of the Shema, but God doesn't seem to need the Shema. So what is in God's tefillin? The verse, Mi ka'amcha Yisrael, goy echad ba'aretz. Who is like your people Israel, one nation on earth. So our tefillin celebrate God, and God's tefillin celebrate Israel.
Anything you can say about the particular rabbis who have been discussing these topics that would be of interest to us?
Yeah, we can take a look at the folks we've been looking at. This Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Rav, he is I think he's the third century, and he transmits a number of mystical teachings. So this is another kind of whispered secret that he must have heard and is passing on. The others appear in Rabbinic Shmuel, son of Nachman, is also seen as he often delivers mythological teachings and some mystical teachings. Before we go on, I want to respond very briefly to a couple of the chats. Someone asked, are these notes available? Yes, Ari will be sending out this PDF to everyone, so you'll have it. And if people need to contact me, there'll be a description of my Zohar course, which also has my email. You're welcome to contact. Okay, let's continue now with Kabbalah. We've looked at a little bit of Torah and a little bit of Midrash, and now the mystical tradition. And teaching number 5 here is from the Zohar. And let's see what the Zohar does with this theme. Come and see. The Zohar loves to say, come and see. The Aramaic here is tachaze, come and see. In the Talmud, you often have come and hear, come and listen. The Zohar, being more visionary, more imaginative, has come and see. Come and see, Rabbi Yehuda said, Adam's image and beauty was like the radiance of the highest heaven above the other heavens, like that light hidden away by the Blessed Holy One for the righteous in the world to come. So we've heard about the light in the Midrash. We've heard about Adam's original vision. Here, Adam is compared to the light. Adam was like the light. So I think this again is talking about Adam's original awareness, Adam's original nature. You could think of this, not only as Adam and Eve, but each of us. Each of us is limited in our self, right? We think that we have gone through a certain life journey. We imagine our own biography. We construct ourself very painfully over the course of the first 10 or 20 years of our life, and then we live with that self, with that ego. But there's something beyond our limited self that the mystics are hinting at. And when they talk about Adam's original image, Adam's original beauty, I think they're talking about a greater sense of awareness, a greater sense of being that sometimes we can plug into. How do we plug into that? Through meditation, through prayer, through falling in love, through being in nature. There's a way that we can expand the boundaries of ourself. And the mystics talk about this in terms of Adam's original light. Let's move on to number 6, which is really the main teaching I want to explore with you from the Zohar on the light. The Zohar is written in Aramaic, not in Hebrew. So this passage in the original is in Aramaic. I may refer to a couple of phrases, but we're going to work with the Hebrew here, number 6. As I said, the Zohar is a commentary on the Torah. So fittingly, the Zohar begins with a verse that we've seen. God said, let there be light, and there was light. Rabbi Yossi said, that light was hidden away, and it is reserved for the righteous in the world to come, as has been established. For it is written, light is sown for the righteous. Okay, that we've seen already in the Midrash. The Zohar is repeating that Midrash, paraphrasing the Midrash, and notice now Rabbi Yossi's conclusion, that light never functioned in the world except for the first day. Afterwards, it was hidden away and performed no more. Okay, so there's this primordial light on day one of creation. The light was hidden away so that the wicked would not misuse it. It's a reward. If you lead a righteous life, you will inherit that light in the Garden of Eden after leaving this world. But it never functioned in the world, according to Rabbi Yossi. That light was so hidden, it never functioned after that first appearance. And notice his colleague Rabbi Yehuda now disagrees. This is really a dialogue between two rabbis, Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda. And Rabbi Yehuda says impossible. Rabbi Yehuda said, if it were completely hidden, the world would not exist for even one moment. Rather, it was hidden and sown like a seed that generates offspring and fruit, and by which the world is sustained. There is not a day without something emerging from it into the world and sustaining all. And by this, the Blessed Holy One feeds the world. And everywhere the Torah is studied at night, one ray issues from that hidden light and is drawn upon those absorbed in her, meaning in Torah. As is written, by day Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh ordains his love, and in the night his song is with me. Since the first day it has not been revealed. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda agrees that the light has not been fully revealed, but it certainly does perform in the world, renewing every day the act of creation. Okay, it's a wonderful dialogue here, a wonderful argument in the Zohar, like the Talmud. The rabbis of the Zohar discuss and debate and argue with each other, trying to wrestle with each other, wrestle with the Torah. Rabbi Yossi said the light was hidden away, as we've seen in the Midrash. Rabbi Yehuda says impossible. So what is the light for Rabbi Yehuda? The light is energy. The light is the divine energy that animates the world. If that energy were withdrawn totally, the world would collapse. You could really think of this as energy and matter. What would matter be without energy? Right? According to physics, matter is actually frozen energy. If the energy were totally eliminated, matter would not exist either. Okay, so matter is some temporary form that the energy assumes. That's what a scientist would say. The Kabbalist is saying something similar, not identical, but similar. Without this divine light, without this divine energy, the world would collapse. The world would disappear. So the light has to be hidden, but it's hidden like a seed is hidden. It's planted in the earth. This light is within each and everything. And every day, one ray of that light shines into the world and sustains the world. Now, what happens with Torah? One ray of light comes into the world every day. If you study Torah, especially at night, you gain greater access to the light. So some of the light sustains the world every day, but if you devote yourself to